I want to read you something. One Friday morning, I noticed a young man, handsome and strong, walking the alleys of our city. He was pulling an old cart filled with clothes, both bright and new, and he was calling in a clear, loud voice, "Rags, rags, new rags for old." Now this is a wonder, I thought to myself, for the man stood 6'4". His arms were like tree limbs, hard and muscular. His eyes flashed intelligence. Could he find no better job than this, to be a ragman? I followed him. Soon the ragman saw a woman sitting on a porch. She was sobbing into a handkerchief, sighing and shedding 1,000 tears. Her knees and elbows made a sad X. Her shoulders shook. Her heart was breaking. The ragman stopped his cart. Quietly he walked to the woman, stepping around cans, bottles, and other garbage. "Give me your rag," he said so gently, "and I'll give you another." He slipped the handkerchief from her eyes. She looked up, and he laid across her palm a linen cloth so clean and new that it shined. She looked in wonder from the gift to the giver. Then as he began to pull his cart again, the ragman did a strange thing. He put her stained handkerchief to his own face. Then he began to cry, to weep and sob as grievously as she had done, his shoulders shaking. "This is a wonder," I breathed to myself, and I followed the sobbing ragman like a child. Rags, rags, new rags for old. In a little while, when the sky showed gray behind the rooftops, and I could see the shredded curtains hanging out black windows, the ragman came upon a girl whose head was wrapped in a bandage. Her eyes were empty, blood soaked the bandage. A line of blood ran down her cheek. The ragman looked upon this child with eyes filled with compassion. He drew a lovely, pure white bonnet from his cart. "Give me your rag," he said, stroking her cheek, "and I will give you mine." The child could only gaze at him as he loosened her bandage, removed it, and tied it around his own head. Then the bonnet he placed on hers. I looked and gasped at what I saw. With the bandage went the wound. Against his brow it ran a darker, more substantial blood. It was his own. "Rags, rags, I take old rags," cried the sobbing, bleeding, strong, intelligent ragman. The sun hurt both the sky now and my eyes as the day wore on. The ragman seemed more and more to hurry. He came to a man leaning against a pole. "Are you going to work? Do you have a job?" he asked the man. The man pulled away from the pole and turned, revealing the right sleeve of his jacket. Flat, the cuffs stuffed into his pocket. He had no arm. "Give me your jacket, and I'll give you mine," said the ragman, in a voice filled with both love and quiet authority. The one-armed man took off his jacket. So did the ragman. I trembled at what I saw. The ragman's arm stayed in his sleeve. When the other put it on, he had two good arms, thick as tree limbs, but the ragman had only one. "Go to work," he said. After that, he found a man lying unconscious in a ditch, old, hunched, wizened, and sick, covered by an old tattered blanket. The ragman took the blanket and wrapped it around himself. For the man, he left new clothes. And now I had to run to keep up with the ragman, though he was weeping uncontrollably and bleeding freely at the forehead, pulling his cart with one arm, stumbling, falling again and again. Exhausted, old and sick, he went with terrible speed. He skittered through the alleys of the city, this mile and the next, until he came to its limits, and then he rushed beyond. I wept to see the change in this man. I hurt to see his sorrow. It broke my heart to watch him suffer. And yet I had to see where he was going in such haste, perhaps to know what drove him so. The smitten and afflicted ragman came to a landfill. He came to the garbage pits. I wanted to help him, but I hung back. He climbed a hill. With tormented labor and agonizing pain, he cleared a little space on that hill. Then he sighed and he laid down. He pillowed his head on a handkerchief and a jacket. He covered himself with an old, tattered army blanket, and he died. I cried to witness that death. I slumped and wailed and mourned as one who has no hope, because I had come to love the ragman. Every other face had faded in the wonder of this man. I cherished him, but he died. I sobbed myself into a deep, emotional, broken-hearted sleep. I slept through Friday night and Saturday and its night too. Then on Sunday morning I was awakened by a light, a pure, hard, demanding light. It slammed against my face. I blinked, I looked, and I saw, and the last and the first wonder of all. There was the ragman, folding the tattered old blanket with care, a scar on his forehead, but alive. There was now no sign of sorrow or age, and all the rags that he had gathered shined bright and clean. I lowered my head and trembled at all that I had seen. I walked up to the ragman. I fell to my knees and told him my name was Shame, for I was a sorry figure next to him. I took off my rags there in that place, and I sobbed with yearning in my voice. I said to him, "Dress me." And he dressed me. He put new clothes on me, and now I am clean beside him, the ragman, the Christ. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. I love that because that's exactly what the Lord did for us. He took all of our burdens. He took all of our sorrows. He took all of our pain. He took it all away and took it on himself, and he went and he died. But he didn't stay there. And that song, because he lives, I'm a new creation. I'm a new creature. I don't have to carry those things anymore because he took them, and he took them to the cross. Amen. I just like that, and I wanted to share that with you.